Number 30, Spirited Away from 2001. Yes, this is the anime critically acclaimed film, of course from Japan. It actually ended up winning the Academy Award for Best Animated Film, which was kind of it was a big deal, you know, as because I mean, especially it was such a almost like this underdog film, you know, because being from Japan and not a lot of people knew about this film. I like this movie because there's a strange kind of fantasy element in this movie. It reminded me of almost like this decade's version of something like the Never-Ending Story, you know, and great adventure family animated film. Basically about this girl, and she ends up going on a weird, bizarre adventure, and she befriends like these strange creatures, these flying creatures. And I mean, I saw the movie a long time ago, but the general gist of it is that it's an adventure kind of film that's almost, I don't want to say nonsensical, but there's a lot of visual scenes in this movie. A lot of the way that they show it, the colors and the different areas and the different locations that she visits, you know, it's almost like this fantasy, totally out of your mind, bizarre experience that can only happen in your dreams, you know. So it's a good movie. I mean, I think it's a great animated film. It's one of the more charming animated films. It's one of these films that make you kind of, hey, you know what, there's more to anime than just the same bullshit, you know, Pokemon garbage, the same kind of, you know, all this, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! And all that crap, all these kitty-themed, generic freaking animes that make it here in the West. Well, this is what real anime is in a lot of ways, you know. Even though it is directed more towards a younger audience, it still captures that beautiful kind of storytelling, that beautiful, strange, kind of bizarre anime feeling. At the same time, you know, you feel like you're dreaming when you watch this movie. So I appreciate this movie's ability to give you that particular kind of, you know, dreaming, you know, daydreaming, atmosphere. Alright, number 29, Lost and Delirious from 2001. Now, way before Misha Barton, or whatever her name is, ever got into the OC playing as Marissa, she was in the movie called Lost and Delirious. And this movie is actually one of the most, like, nostalgic, very, very nostalgic. I mean, I describe this whole movie in one word. Nostalgia. Nostalgic. Even though I've never really kind of experienced the particular, these areas and these particular environments, you know, basically about a group of girls that they hang out in this really upper class, like high-end kind of campus, post-high school. I don't know. Is it post-high school? No. It's not post-high school. It's a school for girls, basically. It's like this really classy school for girls in the middle of the woods, man. It's like just a beautiful scenery. You know, a lot of trees, a lot of grass, a lot of wildlife, and like they're in the middle of this beautiful scenery. But basically, this drama, this freaking storyline develops between the two roommates that Misha Barton's character ends up rooming with these two chicks, but these two chicks are kind of, they're into each other, you know. It's like a lesbian relationship, basically. They're kind of experimenting with each other, and she's kind of like the third wheel, you know, hanging out with these two people. And so the movie, the beautiful scenery gives off this beautiful nostalgic feeling. It gives you this feeling in your chest, like, wow, you know, like it's almost like I'd love to be there. You know, I'd like to visit a place like this. I'd like to actually, you know, if I was ever in high school or going to school to study something, I'd like to visit and be studying in a place like this because the environment is really beautiful. And then you got the storyline, you know, the lesbian kind of forbidden love between these two girls. And then, it kind of, I don't want to give too much away, but it kind of turns ugly, and then there's a conflict, and it all boils down to, like, basically these young girls, living their lives in such a almost like this really stuffy environment, like almost like they're not allowed to express themselves. They're this buttoned down, private school kind of feeling, and they just want to be free, but they can't, they can't pursue their love. Uh, Man, it's a good movie, man. I just love the nostalgic aspect of this movie. So overall, a really great, probably the best coming of age film in this decade. And if you enjoyed this film, Forbidden Love in particular, I might also want to recommend Brokeback Mountain from 2006. So, moving on. Number 28. Shaun of the Dead from 2004. Well, this is a great UK film, and it's a comedy slash horror. It's basically the best zombie comedy film since the 80s Return of the Living Dead. Man, I mean, I love that movie, Return of the Living Dead from the 80s, classic zombie comedy film. And then, Shaun of the Dead ends up actually being almost like this worthy successor to those kinds of movies. It's beautiful, in a really funny kind of it's almost a parody of zombie films, really. It's a parody. It's almost like the satirical zombie movie where you have these group of people that are the survivors of this particular, like, this virus that ends up taking over and spreading, and everybody else turns into zombies, and they gotta escape. And then there's good humor in this movie. There's great freaking British humor. The expected kind of like this. Almost this unexpected delivery, that British humor delivery, and then you got the special effects, which actually look pretty good. I mean, the zombies in this movie they actually look pretty freaking, intimidating. I mean, you wouldn't want to go near them because they're gonna eat you up. It's a great effort, and I think that this movie is one of the better comedies of this particular decade, and it really impressed me how. I mean, I had my doubts when I first tried this movie. I had my doubts. I thought this was going to be like some silly kind of corny special effects and a lot of cheesy kind of scenes, but no, I mean, this movie was actually a pretty decent comedy horror film, and I think it is a must watch if you are craving anything that has comedy and horror mixed into one. I mean, this is a great example of not overdoing it, not overdoing the gore, and not overdoing stupidity, when it comes to movies like this. Like, a comedy horror movie doesn't have to be dumb. It can be, smart, tactical, calculating, and this movie has it all. I mean, they're always trying to get away from the zombies, and that's what I appreciated. I appreciated how there's some aspects of drama in this movie. There's even some, like, there's some really, you felt sorry sometimes for some of these characters because of the BS that they had to go through. So, that being said, great movie. I also want to recommend, if you enjoy that film, go check out Hot Fuzz from 2007. It stars the same, two of the same actors from Shaun of the Dead. Hot Fuzz from a British film, a great comedy cop movie, and oh man, I mean, if Shaun of the Dead is the successor to Return of the Living Dead, Hot Fuzz could be a great successor to movies like, comedy cop films such as Police Academy. There you go. Now, moving on. Number 27.